good. I'd love to know all that stuff. All right, let's start talking chakras. Chakras are so fun. I really enjoy talking about chakras. So, your third eye chakra is right here in your forehead, and it also goes down behind your eyes a little bit. This is one of those chakras that changes in size depending on how open or closed it is. That doesn't happen with all of them. At least in the way that I look at chakras. I'll do my disclosure for you again that everyone, there's lots of different schools of thoughts on chakras. I'm telling you mine. I've studied them all. So I'm telling you mine. So the third eye can grow and can shrink based on what you have going on. So if you've ever felt like your third eye was suddenly like wide open and like larger than it was before, that is what happens. I feel like the third eye out of all the chakras is one that like swings way open and slams shut. Like it's harder to maintain middle ground with your third eye chakra than I think it is with the other chakras. Hey Mary, hey Jamie, glad that you're here. Hey Kim. So really bringing awareness to your third eye and the size of it and how open or closed and balanced it is really important. In my experience, this chakra requires the most attention from you. It doesn't need to take a lot of time, but it's just a chakra that you need to pay attention to because it's a little unruly. It does a lot for you. And if you're someone who operates from the higher up chakras, and I'll explain what that means after I go through these. Some people are low chakra people and some people are high chakra people. If you are someone who's up here a lot, your third eye is right in the middle of your upper chakras, and so it does a lot of work in transmuting, and it's got so much going on. So it's important to bring awareness to imagining that your third eye chakra is very balanced and open just enough. And that you're able to do stuff like even imagining placing a veil over it if you feel like yours is just suddenly swung way open and you don't know what to do and you're just getting lots of kooky dreams and just intuition just constantly coming in. If you're seeing spirits more than you're wanting to, if you're hearing angels more than you're wanting to or more than you're comfortable with, this is where you would want to make some adjustments, okay? Mary says, perfect topic after my experience this week, right? Yes, exactly. I told Mary to put a veil on hers as well, and sometimes when it just swings way open. Your third eye also will open way up the more you shift your power from ego to intuition. So I'll talk more about that in a minute. But the color of your third eye chakra is indigo. The music note is A. So we go up the music scale too, just like we go up the rainbow. And the element here is light, which I think just makes so much sense. This is where your psychic senses and your outward senses all live. Okay, they're all there. That's a lot. Now your psychic senses and these senses out here that we use on the regular, right, that we're always using, are connected to each other. So people ask me a lot, like, what if I see a spirit out here and I'm usually just seeing it inside with my psychic senses? That's okay. They're connected. That can happen. It happens to children a lot because they're much more in a place of intuition. Their egos haven't really come in and taken over all the power yet for them. So that happens more there. And depending on what's going on with your third eye, it can happen more or every once in a while as an adult. Okay. This is also the place where your dreams are. So if this is where your subconscious and your conscious mind, they both are here. This is where they connect to each other as well. So if you are someone who like has crazy dreams all the time, your third eye is probably swung a little too far open. If you are someone who you never remember your dreams, like ever, then it might be slammed kind of closed. A balanced third eye chakra when it comes to dreams is that on a weekly basis, you'll remember pieces of a dream. And I would say maybe once a month, maybe once every other month, you'll feel like you had a really powerful, vivid dream. That's more along the lines of a balanced chakra. Now, every person, every human being is different. So that's just a guideline to go on. So if you're a little different than that, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're not balanced. But just in general, that's about how a balanced third eye chakra works. Now, your intuition and ego speak to you from a different chakra, but they come in and that information is processed and you make decisions with here. So it comes in through the third eye and the crown. It goes down into the other chakras and then it comes back up. Okay. So, Sharon said that is the balanced third eye chakra here. Yes. Awesome. I love a good balanced third eye chakra. So it sits here, and what you do with that information has a lot to do with your third eye. So taking it in, but then also the action you take is all third eye job, business. There's a lot of work this third eye does for you. Your ability to trust in your intuition lives right here. That's what came, Maureen. I'm glad that you're here. Your ego lives right here. Okay, so have you ever got one of those headaches that really just comes across and down through your sinuses? A lot of times those can be triggered by intuition and ego fighting. Okay, when there's a little bit of a power struggle going on, that can generate that kind of a headache for you because it's just a lot of information going on, coming in, all of that. So I did the retreat this past weekend. And at one point in day 2, my third eye chakra started to just get like clunky feeling. And that's because I was holding more space and being in tune with more energy for a longer amount of time than I normally do. So I had to do some adjustments and ground myself and shift to a place where that was still functioning and it wasn't getting stuck there. All right. So processing energy, taking all of that stuff in, and then what you do with it, all coming from here, okay? Michelle says every single day of my life. Yeah, the power struggle, totally, right? That's most of us. So your ability to have wisdom and clarity on not just spiritual topics, but anything to do with life and moving yourself in a good direction, all existing here. This is a big job your third eye has for you. People whose third eye is going a little too cuckoo. Okay, so your chakras can run. This is my language for it. They can be revved up, like they rev like this. Okay, they tend to not just spin really fast, or if they do that, they don't do that for a very long time. But they tend to just kind of spin and then rev, and spin and then rev. And your third eye is really famous for doing that. So when it's revving, what's happening is it's going too much. Like you're taking in too much intuition and you don't have enough ego going on. So if you're just like daydreaming, you can't get your act together and take any action. You're doing like reckless things where you're not consulting your ego at all. If you believe anything that anyone tells you, like you're super gullible for some reason that day, that's because your third eye chakra is revving. Okay. And if your third eye chakra is being kind of clunky and slow, like it just feels like it's spinning and then it slows and then it spins and then it's kind of goes slower. If that's going on, it's kind of the opposite where you can't even like project forward to tomorrow. You can't envision something. You can't imagine or visualize something ahead of you. If you go to do like a meditation and you've got to visualize something, you have a lot of difficulty doing that. That's a third eye issue. Okay. That means it's just going a little too slow. Now, usually if something spins too slow, it's one or two issues going on. Okay, so if your chakra is spinning too slow, it needs to be cleared is the first issue. Okay, the second thing that it can be is that you don't trust your intuition and your ego has too much power. Your intuition is not being heard at all. And so in that case, it will do that as well. And if your intuition is revving, you're taking in too much energy. You're not managing that super well, okay? Because you'll also a lot of times get like a bloated bellyache if you're kind of like absorbing all of that energy and not just observing it. So if that's happening, you'll experience those two things, and that's when it revs because it's really trying to keep up with all of this intuitive information coming in, and you're not balancing it, you're not taking it in slowly so that you can process it. And so that's why that would do that. Okay, make sense? Some great things that you could do to keep your third eye chakra balanced is to really start to embrace and understand the difference between your intuitive voice and your ego voice, and know that you're kind of really understand their job. So if your intuitive voice tells you what will make you happy and makes your decisions for you, beautiful. That's a job that will bring your intuition into balance. And if your ego tells you how to be safe and what it's fear and safety concerns are, and you consult them. You don't make decisions based on them, but you consult them so that you move in the right direction towards the things that you want in a way that will keep you safe. Perfect. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now you're going to have a much more balanced third eye chakra. Another thing to do is to be in tune with your psychic senses. You don't have to be psychic to be in tune with your psychic senses. That's just what they're called. You know, that's not my favorite word. If there was a different one, I would use it. I don't like to say intuitive senses because I don't want you to confuse them with intuition. It's just a way that you process energy. So you have your senses out here, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, taste, touch, all hearing, all of that, right? But you also have a whole other set inside. It lives inside your third eye chakra where you get psychic information. Okay, so that just means energy comes in and you pick up that information and you see things, hear things, smell things, taste things, feel things from that place. And that works just in a slightly different way than your outward senses. They are connected, but they work differently. So it's sort of like, so I'm very visual. Clairvoyance is my strongest of the clairs. And so for me, there's like a screen that plays, like a big movie screen that things are projected on inside, that I see things with those eyes and not always with these eyes. But when I see them with those eyes, they then get reflected symbolically outwardly. So I'll see something, or something will trigger, or a color or an aura to confirm what my psychic senses have said. So understanding the difference and working on developing those and using those along with your outward senses will really also help you have a balanced third eye chakra. And lastly, I kind of hinted at this before, but making sure that you're observing energy, not absorbing energy, is hugely important for having a healthy third eye. Okay? All right, let's move on to the crown chakra. So the crown chakra is the seventh chakra. It's the top here, right at the top of your head. It really does energetically look, if you can see auras, if you can see energy, if you're able to see the chakra here, it really does look like a crown, at least when it's healthy and balanced, because it tends to come up in the front, and the way that the crown chakra goes is it tilts upward. So it has this look of kind of going up, almost like a really cool funky hairdo where it kind of whoops. Where your root chakra points down because that's where it takes in the energy from below. Your crown chakra points up, okay? So this chakra really does look like a beautiful little crown sitting on your head. The color is violet, music note is B, and your element here is thoughts, okay? Some people say consciousness, but thoughts would be like the actual element of this chakra. So your crown chakra is your connection to spirituality in whatever way that you practice that, whether you say the term God or universe, or you take in information from angels, or your ability to communicate with spirit, all here. This is the actual connection. It's like this is where you're plugged in to all that stuff. All right. Everyone is getting, this is sometimes confusing, so let me know if this makes sense to you. Everyone has access to the same amount of energy here, okay? So it's not that people who are very intuitive or who have the ability to speak to spirit or angels necessarily have a different amount of energy coming towards them. They'll have more spirits and angels like rushing towards them depending on where they are, because they know that they can hear them. But the amount of energy that everyone has access to is the same. Okay, the way your chakra is designed, if you have a purpose in taking this spiritual information, however it comes in, and using it or giving it out to other people, or acting as some sort of a medium to say what you're getting and pass that on, those chakras look different. Okay, I have zero scientific studies for you on that. I don't think that science has come quite that far yet. But we do know in different tests they do where they measure the hertz and the frequency of people's bodies, that people who have the ability to talk to spirit and angels, when they're connected, their frequencies look very, very different. If you Google that, you'll find some really cool and interesting things. So when they're connected, the energy coming out of their crown chakra is like cuckoo. And so someone else who maybe doesn't have that ability as developed, when they're attempting to do it, it will look completely different. So it's really, really interesting, I think. I can usually tell someone it has that ability based on the way their crown chakra is taking in energy. So people whose crown chakras really just aren't designed for that kind of a connection will not be absorbing even half the energy that it has access to. Where someone who is will, it's just like a constant flood where they're just sort of like closing one eye and walking around. They're just sort of trying to deal with all of that information. So maybe you can relate to feeling that energy and not being able to do anything with it. That would be a third eye issue. If you're feeling, you know it's there, but you don't know what it means or what's happening, that's a third eye issue. But the fact that you know it's there means your crown chakra is really active and healthy, okay? And everyone's designed differently. Some people are designed to use their crown chakra to take that information and pass it out, go through the third eye, and then travel to the throat and out of your mouth. And some people aren't. Some people are designed to take that in just for themselves or to just really enjoy the energy of source energy and however you look at that in their lives. So it just really depends. Michelle says, tries I can't see my crown as anything but white and my head is almost always tingling. It's so weird. That's okay, Michelle. White energy is divine energy. So if that's what you're seeing, that's okay. You're just not able to see your own energy opening up to that stuff. And that's okay. Usually what that means is that there's a lot of energy coming in, but your third eye isn't processing it as well. So that's usually what's going on. So if that connects with you, Michelle, that might be it. So working on those psychic senses and developing those and really understanding what ones work well for you would probably help that so that you can feel like your crown chakra is really buzzing beautifully, okay, and feeling really balanced. This chakra also, you only get white too. That's okay. There is, of all the chakras, this is the one where there's the most energy going all the time with just complete access to energy always, because you're not getting other people's energy from this chakra. You're only getting that energy mixed with your own energy. So it makes sense that would be a more difficult one to see in yourself and in other people, and is completely okay. Somebody with a very developed crown chakra, you may see easier than someone who's not as developed. And if you can't see chakras at all or colors, don't worry about it. Not everyone has that ability. Your abilities that you have are connected to your purpose. So you might have another amazing intuitive ability that's more in line with your purpose. Make sense? Michelle says, or because I'm constantly calling upon the archangels, Michael and I are homies. Yeah, absolutely. Very, very cool. If you have white energy around you with like gold threads in it, that means the archangels are around you. It's one of them. So yes, very, very cool. And totally fine if if that's more of what you're seeing. It's a joke. Yeah. But I think Michael is my homie too. So I love it. That's great. So this chakra is also connected to your purpose, obviously, but it also has an effect on the muscles in your body and your skin. Okay. Believe it or not. So the way that chakra is going will have an effect on all of those things. The chakra is one of the last to develop. They really do kind of stack up. But there is some different schools of thought, just to give you a few, and you can make your own decision. Some people say that you come with that chakra like fully functioning, but it doesn't really connect to the other chakras until they're developed. And some people say that chakra doesn't develop until a little bit later in your life. So again, you can choose. I think that it comes developed. It's just not ready to be plugged in until your other chakras have developed. That's sort of my way of looking at it. But obviously you can form your own opinion. You can see what you think. So to have a balanced crown chakra, doing things like affirmations and meditation, speaking to your angels, the universe, God, source, divine, whatever term you want to use, goddess, any of those things, having that communication going back and forth is really going to have a beautiful effect on your crown chakra. Makes sense? Hey, Cheryl, glad that you're here. So those are the chakras, friends. So do you have any questions? Boom, we got through them all. It's the end of June already. How did that happen? So Your third eye chakra is the center of your upper chakras. And your heart is the center of kind of the connection between your lower chakras and your upper chakras. So people tend to be either lower chakra people or higher chakra people. And what that means is just where your energy spends the majority of its time. So people who are very logical and who are very grounded, who are, these are the people who like to do, they're more like the rescue boats of the world. They like to problem solve it with a very immediate result. And they don't spend a lot of time on the bigger picture of things, more just on smaller picture stuff, tend to be lower chakra people. Higher chakra people tend to be people who have a lot of creativity going on, who have a lot of spiritual connection, who spend a lot of time in their own head, who love to come from a place of new ideas and bringing new things and new energy into the world. These are the overthinkers as well as the people with the beautiful ideas. So you can kind of see where you exist. So if you're an upper chakra person, it's really important to bring extra awareness to your third eye, because that's got everything from, coming from your heart and throat and then coming in and being processed through your crown as well. And that's a lot of work. So you really want to work on keeping that balance. If you're a lower chakra person, then having your navel chakra be balanced is incredibly, incredibly important for you, because that's where you're processing almost everything. Now, even if you're a higher chakra person, your lower chakras have a super important job for you, and vice versa. So it's not about, I'm a high chakra person, so I shouldn't worry about my lower chakras. Kind of the opposite's true. Higher chakra people tend to spend less time in their lower chakras. So we tend to have stuff, energy and things and issues trapped down in the lower ones because we just like being up here better. And people who are lower chakra people tend to have that going on in their upper chakras, more blocks and issues going on up here because they just are more comfortable spending time in their lower chakras. It just depends. That's kind of decided before you get here what kind of person you are. And again, it depends on your purpose. Okay, so depending on what you came here to do will kind of govern what kind of chakra person you are, an upper or a lower, right? We can have two clubs if you want, the uppers and the lowers. Though most of you here tonight are probably upper chakra people. If you want to learn about chakras at all anyways, you're probably an upper chakra person. So just understanding that I think is really important so that you can know where you might get stuck. Higher upper chakra people tend to have more issues with their feet because we tend to forget to ground ourselves. Because it's just comfy up here, right? Like, I don't want to go down to those lower chakras and deal with all that, early childhood stuff. Like, let's just stay up in the upper chakras and feel good, right? Let's have a good time up in the upper chakras. That's what us upper chakra people tend to do. So our issues tend to be more lower body based with like digestion and foot issues and leg issues and knee issues. And we tend to have less going on up here unless we've taken in too much energy. That's when we'll get those headaches. We can get migraines from that as well. Okay, makes sense? So let me know, are you an upper or a lower chakra person? Probably upper. Probably you're an upper if you're here watching me. But yeah, so that's where those go. So now that you know about all the chakras, which one do you think needs the most attention? Tell me. I'd love to know, which chakra do you feel like you need to do the most work on? Which chakra do you feel like is the chakra that always gives you trouble? Which chakra at the point in your life right now needs the most awareness? Tell me all of that. I would love to know. And I'd love to answer any questions that you have. Before I pop off and pull you some angel cards, because Tuesdays are fun. I love doing that. Jamie's an upper, definitely an upper. Jamie, Michelle, yep, definitely an upper. Yeah, most of you are probably going to be uppers. I'm glad that you're identifying with that. Stacy's an upper. Michelle says, I'm a sag. We're always the life of the party. Uppers. A sag. I don't get it. It's a sag? Explain, Michelle. Am I just like not having enough energy in my upper chakra to understand that? Okay. Stacy's an upper. James says, my root and third eye need lots of work. I hear my heart the easiest. Yes. So, Yeah, so your heart is like the middle chakra. So it connects the lower chakras and the upper chakras. So a lot of times when you're doing a lot of self work and working on balancing the chakras, you'll notice your heart is the one that needs the most attention because it's really connecting and trying to bring those issues from early on that live in your lower chakras up to be worked on through the upper chakras and to get them really flowing. So definitely needing to pay great attention to your heart. And if your heart chakra is one you hear easily, Jamie, and connect with, that's super, super helpful for forward movement when it comes to growth and empowerment and all that beautiful stuff. So that's great. Root and third eye. So boom, almost at the top and then right down at the bottom makes sense for you, girl. And for both, grounding yourself on a regular basis has a huge effect on your root chakra. Being around big, tall trees, putting your hands on trees and feeling their energy, very, very healing to your root chakra. I do that like almost every day. I go out and I put my hands on like around some of the big pine trees. I have this one that's just like my favorite to feel its energy. I'm pretty sure my neighbors all think I'm cuckoo for that. Doesn't matter. My root chakra's happy. They can think I'm crazy, and their poor little root chakras will wish they were doing it too. So that can help. And then your third eye, of course, really working on balancing the psychic chakras, psychic senses with your outward senses, and also intuition and ego, which I know are things that you work on. So continuing to do that, Jamie, is helpful too. Sharon says, upper chakra person, throat needs the most work. Yep. So makes so much sense, Sharon. Definitely you're an upper chakra person, and your throat, speaking your truth and telling people your story and all of that beautiful stuff is what you're working on now. So your throat chakra needing attention makes sense. Oh, Michelle, Sagittarius. I wasn't even thinking along those lines, girl. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up for me. Michelle says her root needs the most work. Yep. So that's early stuff. So if in your life you haven't spent a lot of time on, when I ask you that question of what happened to you at 6, tell me your story. And you're like, oh gosh, I haven't gone there in a while. I haven't worked through any of that. Then your root chakra is going to need some attention for sure. If you're not grounding yourself on a regular basis, root chakra is going to be crying out for some attention. So doing those things, very important. Be a tree hugger like me. It's very, very helpful to your root chakra. Feet in the grass, also very, very awesome for your root chakra. Even just bringing energy and awareness down to your feet. I don't know if you can see me, but I tend to even sit with like my feet up on my chair, crisscross applesauce. And it's important to kind of I'm like floating around like an upper chakra person does. So I try to remember to put my feet down on the floor, even if it's just for a few minutes every so often, to really help my energy go down and come into the feet and keep me grounded. So another good tip for that. Stacey says sacral and navel chakra need work. Yeah, so those two chakras are best friends. They work really, really well together. So that's on self-confidence and feeling good about who you are and knowing that and feeling okay sharing that with the world and feeling powerful. And again, all things that you're working on, Stacey, so perfect. So the more you do that and the more you keep bringing awareness to that, the better. Excellent, excellent. Michelle says, I don't remember most of my childhood. Dang, is that why? Yep. So, and all the F's are remembering more of it recently since doing the chakra work. Yes. So that happens to a lot of people where they can't remember things from our childhood. So it doesn't mean that there's a bunch of trauma back there. It could, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that for some reason your brain decided that the best option for you was to store some of that away. And so it's there. It's just that we can't recall it more than we can't remember it. Okay, so we send the signal down to recall some memories, and it just doesn't come back up. So that's what can happen. And so the more that you do this work, the more that you'll have these moments of, oh, that's what that was. If you're really wanting to recall them, first I recommend doing it with a professional, like a therapist or something, just in case there's something sneaky back there that your brain buried for a very important reason. You want to have support to move through that, so definitely do that. But if that's not the case, or you're just really trying to work on having more memories and having that be a little bit more vivid for you and easier to recall, you can do work around feeling in charge of your own emotions. So if your brain thinks you're ready to experience a memory again that it's locked away, it will unlock it. And sometimes even when it stores the memory and hides it, it picks the age to deliver it back to you way back then. But you can unlock it sooner if you do things like that. So an exercise that I give to people is to do a meditation and ask for a beautiful memory that you haven't seen in a while to come back up, and ask for a pleasant and happy one if you'd like. And imagine that you have a remote control in your hand, and instead of a volume up and down button, it's an emotion up and down button. So if you're recalling this memory and you feel overwhelmed with happiness or sadness or anger or anything, you feel like you can turn down and even mute the emotion and just witness it again. Doing things like that will make your brain feel like it's safer for you to remember that. Your brain is an amazing, powerful tool. Your ego is there to keep you safe. You know, some people want to kill their ego altogether. Don't do that. We need the ego, but we don't want it to have so much power. So getting our intuition to be more powerful is what we want, and bringing our intuition back, bringing our ego back into its job, which is to keep us safe, and letting it know I'm safe. If I experience these memories, then your ego and your brain will let you recall that. So you can do stuff like that as well. And doing chakra work will open that stuff up. You'll be more connected to your root chakra, and you'll be able to recall more stuff. So yes, that's why that happens. And Jamie said same. Yeah, so same goes for you, girlfriend. The more that you do that kind of stuff, the more your brain will kind of allow those memories to come back. But if you're suspecting that you locked it away for an important reason, like there's maybe something trauma there, definitely have support with you when you start to recall that stuff. There's lots of really great tools that therapists use, like EMDR and stuff, to kind of see and work through that stuff that are really powerful, really healing, and really helpful, and can make your life a lot easier. You know, why do it the hard way where just like wait for the memories to hit you finally when you can do something to kind of take it into your own hands and speed that process up. Always a good thing to do. Okay? So that's the chakras, friends. Yay! Thanks for hanging out with me, and thanks for doing this. I hope you guys love Chakra Month. Even if you're watching this later, you're not live with me, tell me what you thought. Tell me what chakras need work, if you're an upper or lower. I'd love to know all of that stuff.